Right, hello. Hopefully everybody gets a notification for this stream in a minute. I thought it might be quite fun to do a conspiracy theme stream, one where obviously I'm not going to put up with anybody being racist or anything on it, but if thought it might be quite good to talk about weird conspiracy theories, because the stream we did earlier, we had a bit of that on there. It was actually quite a good discussion. Although it'd be quite good to do a theme centered just around kind of like crazy conspiracy theories. So if you believe in a conspiracy theory and you can put it across in a nice way, that would be good. Yeah, I need to give them a clean down over glasses cloth there a bit. You can see where there's handprints on them. But, if there's some good conspiracy theories, we'll talk about them. So hello to everybody. Also, I'm glad there's mods on because I'm sure a lot of you heard earlier I've got a random loser insulting me online. And I'll read out what they said because they tried to threaten me. I'm assuming it's probably just like a 10-year-old as usual, but I'll read out what they said because they were trying to silence me. So I thought, I'll read it out because, they get power from trying to intimidate people, don't they? As much as I'm normally in the attitude of don't feed the trolls. What they said, and thank you very much, Ninos. They said, sort this out. I will personally take an interest in you in the real world where you cannot block me. You're a sickly little boy, and that's you and your family. I think you should have done that a bit differently, but anyway. Don't need the trouble this will cause you legally and financially. Ooh, I'm frightened. I'm frightened by a random man on the internet who insults people and then gets blocked and then takes it against me. He's blocked. So anyway, that was a quote. All right, Peach, I was just reading out that threat I got earlier just because I thought it was funny because no, I will not be intimidated by a sad person online. I mean, after this, we won't talk about them because, I know trolls like to be talked about, but, because they wanted to intimidate me, fuck off. There was Briggs. There was a person on the Discord who was basically insulting everybody else and getting angry if anybody said anything back to him, breaking lots and lots of rules. Thank you very much, Chris from HR. To be honest, some of them were communist UFO, but Henry hid the message. But thank you very much, Chris, and thank you, Ninos, as well. But yeah, it's just where you But yeah, it's I just find it weird when you get those people that are so thin-skinned, they insult everybody else, and then as soon as somebody blocks them or insults them back, it's, oh no, you weren't allowed to do that, I'm going to sue you or something like that, I'm going to dox you, I'm going to call the police on you. It's such a weird mentality, isn't it? Like, Yeah, exactly, Chris from HR. Imagine that. Yeah, Lena, I suppose that's the good news. Yeah, it's the same particular person with troll in their name, Alex, but yes. Hype says, conspiracy theory, all politicians are lizards. Very well could be. Yeah, well, the thing is, right, is, like I said, I don't want to we'll talk about conspiracies for most of the stream, but it's just, I take it a bit personally when you hear stuff like that. But yeah, it's kind of weird. The thing I just never get is somebody who will insult other people non-stop. As soon as any insult gets leveled back against them, no, you can't say that, Who are you talking to, UFO? The flat is Earth. What, as in your flat you live in? Because I don't believe the Earth is flat, but the your flat you live in is the entire Earth. That's some sort of Matrixy Truman Show shit. George says conspiracy theory. My name is George. It very well could be. To be honest, Lena, I tell you what, I will mod you just because you've been on long enough that I trust you not to do anything silly. So there you go. Some people did ask recently what the criteria is for being a mod, but I'm mostly just doing it with people who have been on for quite a long time because that way I know that they're generally all right people. Cats work for the devil, Alex says. I am suspicious of cats. I mean, they're probably associated with witchcraft, aren't they? I actually do like cats. I mean, I prefer dogs, but, like I said, I volunteer for the Blue Cross when I can actually go back to volunteer, which hopefully will be soon because of, less restrictions on movement. And although I like cats, I definitely prefer dogs, and a lot of cats have a very smug sort of attitude. But yeah, I'll tell you what, is there any conspiracy theories people actually believe? you know, like, well, they don't have to be that outlandish. You know, I'm hoping people don't say the Holocaust isn't real or something like that. But is there any actually ones on here that people genuinely believe? Because I would find it interesting if somebody brings up a conspiracy that, you know, might actually, you know, they have some reason for thinking it's real. Schwabble Wobble said Denmark doesn't exist. Well, from surplus Schwabble Wobble, I don't think Denmark does exist because they only use other people's stuff. They never make it. I don't really use Reddit, Phantom Productions, just because I don't really like the way Reddit works, and that's not a slight against individual Reddits. It's just I don't think the Reddit upvoting, downvoting system works very well for a sort of the discussion sort of board Reddit's meant to be. Darius says, do UFO and aliens exist? Do you have photos of UFOs before Photoshop and photo editing? This is even GovUK website about. I definitely think aliens exist, but there was way of photoshopping photos before Photoshop. What's really interesting is to look into how people used to doctor the old ghost images. Oh, I could believe that hype. There's certainly a lot of things, isn't there, where like nations have helped other nations that you wouldn't think they'd do it with just because they're doing it in a power play against another nation. Yeah, hard rumor. I don't really use Insta. The main reason I actually made an Instagram was because I had a couple of people trying to imitate me on there. So I think I originally made the account and just posted a little bit. So I technically had an account, so people couldn't make one pretending to be me. Oh, White Wolf, was it you that asked about the Russian riot helmet yesterday? Because if you did, in 2 days' time, there's a video on it with the visor testing it with various gas masks. So if it was you that asked about that, there's a video specifically for you going on in 2 days' time. And Mom Spaghetti said they would be pre-exposed film for old cameras on Ghost Pics. Is that where they take a picture of something, then roll the film back and take another picture? So they like might take a picture of a woman in a white dress somewhere. Then they'd go to like the altar in the church or like a staircase in a building, take the picture again on the same film, so you get kind of like a slightly faded in woman with a dress on. Right, cool, White Wolf. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. But yeah. It's just, I remembered you asked for that, and I had it laying about, so I thought, right, I'll do a video for you then. The thing is with, yeah, you don't have to keep spamming it, UFO. I can understand why a lot of people would think that. There could be some dodgy stuff surrounding it, but, yeah. Yeah, it certainly is interesting to look at old ghost pictures. Oh, that's an interesting one, Datvic. I'll be careful reading stuff like that out because I don't want YouTube blaming me for reading something like that. Well, how does that work, Richard? That we came from somewhere in space ages ago and just forgot we travelled in space or something? That's all right, George. But yeah, PM me at some point on Patreon for my address because I trust giving it to you, and then yeah, I'd really appreciate that. Yeah, like I'll read out what Hype says because this is before this person got all shitty at me. He said, Hype said, I'm also really tired of these hypersensitive people, to be honest. Get blocked by him even when clearly extending an olive branch out. The olive leaves got burned off and now all he gets is the stick. But yeah, basically, when the person was breaking the rules on Discord, Hype just asked him nicely in a private message to stop, and then the admins are cunts because how dare they tell me to follow the rules on the server? It's everybody else's fault but mine, you know. Well, me, Altrix, I just thought it'd be interesting. I used to, ages ago, do theme streams, you know, where I do a stream maybe once a week, where we talk about a particular subject the entire stream and not get distracted by what's your favourite gas mask. But Conspiracies, I know, is one that interests a lot of people. The only thing I don't like about Conspiracies is when they get to kind of the point where it's just trying to be racist or offensive to individual people. Oh, Nintendo Boy, thank you very much. He said, that shop said they'll hold the snap caps for me, so I'll pick them up in a day or so. Excellent. Because yeah, like I said, I've got a Schmitz Rubin, which is lovely. I don't know if you've seen a video on it yet, but sadly, I can't show it on streams. Otherwise, I'd cycle it for you now. But like you said, it would be good for dry firing a gun safely, essentially. Snap caps. Yeah. So yeah, I know Altrix. Basically, it's every time he breaks the rules, he blocks the mods, and then no, I'm the victim. I kind of reckon that Vic. Although, have you seen the great Mitchell and Webb sketch where the Secret Services are planning on assassinating Diana? And then they're like, oh, never mind, she just died in a car crash. No, could be hype, I suppose. I don't know enough about biology to know if we evolved from bacteria, but I suppose we did kind of come from very boring single-cell slime type things, didn't we? Daria says, lots of photos of UFOs were taken in 1930s to 1950s. I wonder what the UK government responded for a UFO landed on Westminster and the aliens said that everyone has to follow their laws. I mean, do the aliens have the force to enforce it? I imagine they would if they could do space travel. They probably have some cool ray guns. Here's a conspiracy, and I believe it, Eltrix. People intentionally donate money to come on our Discord and try and fuck things up. You know, I kind of believe that, Altrix. I wonder why. It's not like it's happened several times. Alex said, some of us haven't evolved far from single-cell slime balls. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Whitewolf says, aliens helped to build the pyramids in Egypt and South America. Personally, I did read into how people think they built it, and it's quite interesting. I could understand the alien theory, but I think a lot of it was... using kind of like trenches filled with water to float the blocks up. And also, you know, that they built sand up, dragged it to the top, and then dug as they made the pyramid. I really need to rewatch them, George, because I've got all of them on Blu-ray, although Kingdom of the Crystal Skull doesn't interest me very much. But Temple of Doom is the one I weirdly want to rewatch. Interesting, fun, pointless fact with the Indiana Jones film is that Pat Roach is in all three of the original films as the guy Indy has a fist fight with in every film. So he's like the German that goes into Propeller in the first one. In the second Indiana Jones, he's the guy of the turban on who goes in the Rock Crusher. And in the third Indiana Jones, he's like the tank captain, isn't he? But yeah, rest in peace, Pat Roach. He was a cool guy. For those of you that don't know, he was like one of Britain's heavyweight sort of wrestlers back in like the 70s or whenever it was. But he was in loads of films as like the big bad guy that, you know, like Arnie or somebody else would have a fist fight with because he was like a massive fucking wrestler. But he was like one of those really nice blokes in real life. Alf said English electric lightning could attack American spy planes. Well, we were meant to be allies of them, so I hope we wouldn't do that. I suppose that makes sense, Arnold. Arnold Brimmer says, I've been on many Twitch streamers' Discords. Often these trolls donate turbo or whatever it is. It's a way to pay for credibility when you make a new account. I mean, that makes total sense. Brady Don, whatever his name is, says, can you shout me out? There you go. I don't know them, Tomtin. Can you explain them to me in like a very straightforward way without saying, please read loads and loads of articles on it? Nintendo Boy, thank you very much again. He said, are Webleys considered antiques over there too, or still restricted? Sadly, I think they're restricted. You can own old black powder pistols and things like that, but how the UK works, which is very strange with old guns, is it's if they're in like a weird caliber that isn't really used anymore. So, for example, if you look at bolt actions, the Enfields, you have to have them on a firearm certificate or have them as DX, like, you know, K98s and Gavea 98. Same thing, you know, all those. Schmitz-Rubin rifles, no, because it's a straight pull bolt and it was a lower pressure cartridge originally. I don't understand the logic of it, but, you know, I'm glad that you can get cool sort of old late 1800s bolt action rifles. Yeah, but Joe, you can own black powder pistols without them being classed as pistols over here because of our laws. So the cringy kid says, it's a boy, says, I think that on a meteor there was a toxin that changes monkeys into humans because you don't see any monkeys changing into humans now. Random, not a taco person, says, conspiracy theory, government is changing battery in birds. That's why the plague blows out every 100 years because battery life is 100 years long. You think they'd make better batteries, wouldn't you, really? Altrick says, here's a conspiracy. GP5s are bad for your health. Go and buy a GP5, GP5, GP5. Go and buy a GP5. Suka up. Mr. Knox47 says, you and my dad would be friends. I hope he's genuine by that and that's not a conspiracy theory. Yep, certainly do, Briggs. It's just because it's London bridges falling down. That's how they did it for Halloween 3. Because they were trying to make a jingle, and then they just like, oh, let's play London bridges falling down on the synth and put like a high pitched voice on it. Because I think all the voice was Tommy Lee Wallace's voice like sped up or something, or they altered the pitch. But yeah, Halloween 3 is a great. That's my conspiracy. Halloween 3 is one of the best Halloween films. That will annoy people. But I genuinely think it's true. Other than the original Halloween, I think Halloween 3 is the best sequel because it has nothing to do with the other Halloween films and it was its own plot, you know. Because in general, I think if you were doing a horror series like that, having an anthology with a different plot for every sequel would be better than Michael Myers is back again. Which one, Mr. Knox? The one about the real Men in Black, as in like they're aliens or weird robots that come to intimidate people who've seen UFOs? That's a bit creepy. I should have on the shelf, speaking of the Men in Black, if it's on this shelf, it is, and not the other shelf. I have got the sequel to it, but I think Bart's borrowing it. Like he's been borrowing it for like a year now because he never reads stuff very fast. But yeah, if you're on about Men in Black conspiracy, this is quite a good back book. Nick Redfern. But yeah, he does like lots of books on like cryptozoology and aliens and that. And this particular one's about the Men in Black. Basically, what the Men in Black conspiracy is that they're not actually government agents, you know, to silence UFO witnesses, although they could have been in a couple of cases. There's actually something a lot more supernatural or kind of paranormal about them. They are really creepy, though, if you read into some of the encounters people had. Nintendo Boy, this is a good one, actually. Conspiracy theory. Corona is manufactured by 3M to sell masks to pay for the earplug lawsuit. Do you think 3M, Avon Rubber, and lots of these companies came together in a secret, like Majestic 12 Illuminati group to manufacture a virus so they could get money for, yeah, like you said. I was going to see if there's any pictures in this book. I think there is like meant to be one picture caught of a man in black, which is quite a creepy picture that's in this book. But the main thing is like, you know, people kind of forget that they are visited until like hypnosis or whatever. But let's see if I can find the picture, because it is quite a creepy looking bloke. It was one outside like somebody's house. So they got somebody to drive past with a camera and snap a picture of him because he was there every day. Is that picture in here though? Yeah, there it is. I thought this is like one of those cursed images. If it focuses. Let me flick that light on. So yeah, it's that guy there. I don't know how well he's going to be seen there. But creepy looking dude. I mean, I know that picture doesn't really say much in of itself. It could just be some random bloke standing there, but if you read the story that goes along with it, it's quite creepy. All right, Connor says, this isn't really a conspiracy, is it? But he says, I'm counting down the days so I can get one of those Geigers you have on the wall, the one that maxes out at 99.99 microsieverts, that one. Thank you, Ron. Cursed gas mask images video is a very good idea, Ron. I'd have to think of how to do that. It'd be a lot easier once a lot of the corona restrictions are lifted, so I can get one of my friends who's really into photography to help me, like, do it properly. But George says, this is my opinion from a veteran. I served 3 tours in Iraq and one in Afghanistan. The earplug is complete bullshit. It was only isolated cases of the earplugs being defective. Mine were functional. I don't actually know what this was. Was it just people going deaf after using the earplugs? I suppose it's just bad luck, isn't it, if they weren't made to a very good standard. But George says his was fine. Conspiracy theory from Lena. Disney purchased Star Wars purely for profit and to hijack the narrative to have a monopoly on the female empowerment market. Even equality can be self-profit. I don't know if I should agree with that publicly on YouTube, but they certainly tanked the franchise, didn't they? Henry's conspiracy is a teacher, a person who helps you solve a problem that you'll never have without them. No, the creepiest fungus I know about is Cordyceps dwarven liner. What's this one? Candia auris. Yep. Mole people? I've never seen a mole person, but I suppose you wouldn't, would they, if they're secretly in on everything? I think somebody might have done Sean, but it probably shot up quickly. But there's several theories, isn't there? One that he lived in Argentina, one that he lived in like an Antarctic space alien base, one that the aliens, I think, took him back up to space. Aldrich said, check my above ping. Right, let's find it. He said, here's a conspiracy, Myra is a good company. Ooh. Paul Woodhead says, BBC infiltrated by left-wing socialists peddling communist agenda. I mean, it's a shame, but I don't know if there's so much of an agenda with the BBC, or if it's just a thing of they think that's what most people want to watch and they've just completely misjudged the market. Yeah, I could kind of understand certain conspiracies like that hype if there's some sort of protective gear that you only need for a certain thing. No, nobody said Bush did 9/11 yet, William Lee. Right, Connor's dropping a hot conspiracy here. Coronavirus was made by the Chinese 5G company so that once they installed the towers and people burnt them down, they can charge our government to fix them and replace them. This is a joke. The weird thing is sometimes when people come out with joke conspiracies, they sound more real than some of the conspiracies people honestly believe in. Altrix also thinks that the Avon escape hood tried to kill me because I knew too much. What? Because I was onto the conspiracy that they were making masks, like we were saying in the Illuminati group. Oh, Finnish Cold War. His conspiracy is that Hitler emigrated to Lego City. I don't know what Lego City is, but did he turn into like a plastic person? Lena says, conspiracy theory, Last of Us Part 2's leaks are intentional, make a flop to collect on insurance money. I've not actually watched the leaks, but I know it's upset everybody. Yeah, the paid actors thing, though, I know you're making a joke there, Hype, but I think the paid actors thing I do find quite offensive, because I find it horrible, don't you, that if people died in some sort of, like, terrorist attack or whatever, people were like, oh no, they didn't really die. They're made up people, they didn't exist. How could you put COVID in iPhones? What were they like? Did they spray COVID out when you press the button? Yeah, Sean, that's what I'm saying. That's what I think it's more like, that they just think they're going off a popular popular thing, but I think it's just a very angry, loud minority. Because generally, people who have more extreme ideologies tend to shout the loudest. If it will let you post it on Discord, yes, put it on Discord. I don't even know what this is, though. Hitler in Lego City. I've not even heard of this. Oh, Altrix, you're on to me. You're on to me, Altrix. Yeah, I find paranormal stuff really interesting, Steve. The thing is, I don't know how much of it I believe in, but the thing is with paranormal stuff, I do find it interesting, like I enjoy watching that sort of stuff. Because the thing is, paranormal stuff and stuff like that isn't really offensive to anybody, is it? I mean, maybe you could find somebody who's like, oh, ghosts are offensive because I believe everybody goes to heaven or something like that. But in general, I find, like stuff like ghost kind of stuff is completely harmless, really, isn't it? Because it's just people either believing it or not believing it. I suppose you could say some mediums are scammers or something like that. But as far as stuff goes, like ghost hunters don't bother me at all because they don't seem to be Yeah, did you know water's bad for you, Richard, because 100% of people that drink water die? Did you know that? Big brain thinking time now. RC Guy says the government are after you and they're watching you 24/7. I don't think they have the resources to watch me 24/7, in all honesty. Because, I mean, the CBRN police did visit me. And, you know, as much as they might want to watch lots of my content, they'd actually have to pay somebody to sit there and watch my content. So they probably don't most of the time. Because they just probably have too many online videos to watch. You know. Class 2 instructor points out life has a 100% mortality rate. You're definitely right there. But what about Lenin? Because he's embalmed. Is Lenin really dead? Or is Lenin undead? Briggs said, if you're a serial killer, there is a 98.57% chance you're wearing socks right now. Oh dear. Somebody was on about that, some CBRN a bit earlier, that drones are actually, like birds are actually need their batteries changing, and that's why everybody has to be locked in every 100 years. Chris from HR said Dark Docs is a good shout on YouTube. Is that a channel that does like ghost stuff or what? Oh, Connor just says it literally straight after. That's creepy. He says, have you watched Dark Docs and the other channels like Dark 5 and Dark Pix, I think is. Let me Google it because I'm actually interested in this now. Dark Docs, YouTube. The cosmonaut, weirdly, the cosmonaut almost walks on the moon actually showed up in my YouTube recommended thing. Operation Argus, I know what that one is because it's in Trinity and Beyond, or in those nuke films. Right, I'll subscribe to them. They look interesting. Or is that a conspiracy tricks that several other people, including myself, made up to discredit the Russian filter industry? That was just on eBay, but sadly it was one like where the seller had only like 1 or 2 in when I got it. Oh, that's cool, World War II soldier. But yeah. Well, Connor, I think you could legitimately argue that he potentially made Corona worse in the States, because I definitely think some of Trump's mentality of handling Corona has not been good. And I really upset some Trump fanboys when I said that on another video. Like they all literally went off on one just because I said that. But wasn't it the other day or something, like Dr. Fauci or whoever it is actually a scientific advisor on Corona, said something like it's probably not safe to go send the kids back to school, and Trump's like, oh, you can't say that, that's irresponsible. Hype says bullets are a hoax manufactured by body armor companies. People you see getting shot are all paid actors. Oh no, we're getting further into the paid actor thing. I'm wondering I'm gonna have to delete this stream after it finishes so I don't get reported for like pushing conspiracies on people. Oh, I'm a paid actor. Who plays me? That's an interesting question. Who plays the paid actors? So if I was a paid actor, who would the person be paying me? How about a conspiracy like we're all actually robots, but we're programmed to have people's brains in so we don't realize, like the plot of Soma, although I summed it up really badly there. Oh, there we go, Arnold. Arnold's really on it now. That I delete it to suppress the truth. Ooh. I'll probably put in the title once it's finished, though, like joke video, something like that, just so, because I know YouTube gets really funny now on like conspiracies if you make them sound like they're valid at all. A human says Avon pays you. I wish they did. In all honesty. I wish every gas mask company would say, Liam, here is a load of money because you said our gas mask was really good. Because you said the CT12 is your favourite mask. Here is 100,000 million pounds. Actually, while we're on the subject of YouTube videos, does anybody know any like good creepy YouTube channels about like weird stuff, paranormal stuff, all that sort of stuff? just because I'd quite like to watch those if I'm bored. Stuff either on like ghost hunting or like weird cursed objects or like weird creepy images on the internet. Bot says, what if all of the conspiracy theories are true and the CIA is just spreading them to make them look not real? Ooh. But wouldn't some of the conspiracies contradict each other? I know what SCPs are. I meant something a bit more like original than SCP Foundation. Nuke's top 5. You see that sounds like the sort of channel I wouldn't like, White Wolf. But if you've recommended it, let me check it out. Let me have a look and subscribe. All right, cool. This does actually look more interesting than I thought. Because yeah, as much as they have very clickbaity titles, the what was the oh, I forgot what I was going to say now. I just thought of a really good, interesting thing, and now I've forgotten. Oh no, Altrix. Ghost Asylum. Let me Google that. Ghost Asylum. So is this Ghost Asylum was an American paranormal television series that aired professional ghost hunters that tried to trap ghosts. So it's all in like asylums and that. I liked old Ghost Adventures saying that before it became really, really weird. But Ghost Adventures used to be quite interesting. Although I think Zach Bagans was eventually going crazier and crazier during all the episodes because he went from just being like a dude bro kind of Chad to have you seen where he's like dressed up in the weird like SS looking uniforms in like later episodes? But the early Ghost Adventures I quite liked, and I always find it interesting on Red Letter Media when Mike just goes off on a tangent about Zach Bagans or Ghost Adventures. Well, very well could have done, Toby. Most Haunted was funny stuff. One. The thing is, a lot of those programs can be quite creepy in a way, but you never see anything, do you? It's just like, oh, there was a sound off camera, But they're quite good things. But like the thing I like most about some of those ghost hunting programs. Thank you, Altrix. I'll read your message in a second. Just otherwise I'll lose my train of thought. Is that with a lot of the ghost hunting programs, they do give you really good places to visit if you're ever going somewhere as a tourist and want to see like really cool old historical places. Like I only found out about the Edinburgh Vaults because of Ghost Adventures and I think a Most Haunted episode there. And the Edinburgh Vaults is where there's like really creepy undercity under Edinburgh that has like loads and loads of ghost sightings. When I was there, I did take a photo, and sadly I don't have it on this computer, otherwise I put it up, and there was some like weird distortion thing on the camera, but it could easily just be a trick of the light. But it's an interesting place, even if you went there and there was nothing paranormal, just because it's such a weird place to have like an undercity built within a city. Altrix said WS93 is giving Altrix his money to Durov and Grobnob to torture Altrix more, spread the truth. But what other ones are there? Yeah, I like Lindy Page. Let me look up Lazy Masquerade. One of the interesting ones is what I was going to go on about earlier. Does anybody remember I Feel Fantastic, or whatever it was called? That's a creepy thing. Like the guy who had those weird robot dolls in his house. Right. I'll bookmark this. But let me see if I can get I Feel Fantastic up. Let's see if this is a thing. I feel fantastic. Here we go. This is what I'm on about for the people who don't know about I Feel Fantastic. Ritual Reality says, here's a good conspiracy theory. American internet companies push the 5G conspiracy so they don't have to do 5G, so they don't even have to actually split apart. What, like, they're like, oh, 5G's bad. That'll cost us money to upgrade our infrastructure. Yeah, weirdly, Connor, I was watching a documentary today that had Mark Felton as one of the people being interviewed on it. Not on YouTube, like an actual proper documentary thing. I was like, oh, it's Mark Felton who has a YouTube channel. Oh, I've not got the cure then, have I? I've got Abbott. This probably heals, like, demonic possession or something. Abbott ale. Sean said, have you seen some designs for radioactive sites they've come up with? They make them look so spooky that people thousands of years in the future won't visit them. They look really cool. Oh, cool. Let's have a look at these. In all honesty, the creepiest thing I know about from, like, Googling it, you know, when you get into one of those weird fascinations of Googling something and then you're like, this is really freaky, but I can't stop reading about it, is, oh, what was it? Cave diving. Because who the hell would want to go cave diving? When I'm Googling radioactive sites, it's mostly just coming up pictures of Chernobyl, which wasn't what I wanted, but... My nose keeps running. Maybe I've been coroned. Down the Rabbit Hole I've watched, Phil. That's a good... Is that... I can never remember the bloke's name, but he does, like, really good, like, long videos, like the Austrian wine poisoning was the recent one, wasn't it? I only found out about his channel because he did a video on Terry A. Davis. I still want to know who the actor is, though, that plays me. Yeah, I'll be... Oh, weirdly, Alex, you're kind of right on some level there, because there is a thing, isn't there, when you get, like, the honey trap things to some extremist ideologies, where they're literally there to try and catch people. Because I know, like, they've caught a lot of, like, radical extremists, haven't they, with certain, like, things where they'll get, like, a fake imam or something that reports the people who end up wanting to go along with him, you know, doing all the stuff. So I think that was a theory of Andy Chowdhury or one of those, or Abu Hamza for ages, that he was actually a bit of a honey trap for, like, attracting and then, like, monitoring and jailing extremists. I don't even know about this newish Siren Head thing. Let me search Siren Head. Siren Head. Oh. Weirdly, I'm sure I've... I'll have to look into this a bit more later, but Siren Head, weirdly, is something I'm sure I've seen on something, or is it just because it's very Silent Hillish looking? It's interesting. I do like creepy old things like that. You know. Thank you very much, Preston. You said man eaten by shark killed by coronavirus. Conspiracy, weapons and stuff loves torturing Altrix. Class 2 instructor said the people outside, is that the name of something? Reminds me of When the Wind Blows, when the old lady went outside to look at almost the flowers. Oh, it is a film. Is this 2006, directed by Kenny Reed, with 2.9 stars? It's got no description, so I don't know if this is it. I don't know now. I'm interested. So what's this Class 2 instructor? I'm really interested now. If you want a non-conspiracy answer to Akuma Gaka, in terms of proper NBC respirators, the Scott M98 and the Scott Pro Mask are all really good. All right, Mike. Weirdly, a lot more people are watching this video and giving super chats than normal ones, Mike, so I ought to talk about conspiracies or random shit more often, I reckon. That's a conspiracy. I'm strangely Pyro Toad. I know what 2 Girls 1 Cup is. I wonder if you could actually get all those old sort of shock sites and videos and put them on, like, some sort of SCP list, like cursed videos. I know what When the Wind Blows is class 2 instructor, but I thought you meant there was something else. No animation. Is it a YouTube video then? Or I'm just getting really confused. I'm just going to go search for people outside on YouTube now and see if it comes up with anything. There's a YouTube video, part 1, by Jamil Salim from 9 years ago. There's also some weird kids educational video called Learn People Outside Part 1 that has like a burglar on the picture. The top video is The Girl Born with Heart Outside Her Chest. Incredible Medicine, Dr. Weston's Casebook Preview, BBC. All right, I've jumped to the bottom of the chat now. So yeah, nobody Google what Alex said. I don't know what he previously said, but yeah. The strange thing is, I don't know if he's still going to work there when I get back, even if I've got a job to go back to when all this is over. But there's a guy I work with who weirdly, he's like, the topic he just brings up random people in conversation is talking about shock sites. He's like, you ever seen one man, one jaw? You ever seen two girls, one cup? It's like that sort of thing. I'm not going to look up anything you're telling me to look up, Pyro. A Human says that you are a paid actor hired by Avon and played by a communist alien. Ooh, that's a good one. What planet am I from? Kanye Quest is that 11HHH30. Let me look up Kanye Quest. So it's a video about Kanye West, is it? Well, I'll have a look into that a bit later. Let me search Piggate, unless... That's not the one about the Charlie Brooker episode, is it? Oh, it is. Oh, and it's also the thing about David Cameron. But yeah, I was thinking about the thing then on Black Mirror, like the first episode of Black Mirror about the Prime Minister having to fuck a pig. Alicia Lamb sounds like a really familiar name, but I don't think I've seen the video. What is this? A Human says, admit we are onto you. For which conspiracy? You need to tell me which conspiracy you're onto me for. Alright, thank you, Nintendo. But weirdly, I know about this one. He said, one that always freaks me out is people finding random pristine staircases in the middle of big national parks, and freaky stuff happens when people find them or touch them. There's stuff of that. I never know if it's like a really well done creepypasta or if it's real, because there's stuff like that that sounds almost so weird that it sounds more believable than, you know, oh, I saw an alien in my garden and he was called Fred. But yeah, basically for the people that don't know, and thank you, Dwarven Miner, as well, I'll explain. Oh, it's actually meant to be censored on purpose. I was hoping I could hover over that and reveal something. But yeah, the idea is like if you're out in a national forest somewhere in the US, you'll randomly just come across like a staircase in the middle of nowhere. You know, like almost like there's a building there and there's not a building and there's no trace of the building, just a staircase. I am that spider alien. I do have one. What's Avril Lavigne conspiracy? I want to search this now. Haku Noel says, lol, you're a legend, mate. Thank you. Yeah, let me search the Avril Lavigne conspiracy. It's not a nude video, is it? Oh, so it's one about... Oh, it's one of those ones about somebody dying and then being replaced. The Mandela effect, though, is really interesting, that sort of stuff. Because, you know, like, I do find the Mandela stuff, you know, really interesting about stuff where loads of people thought they had the same thing happening, or that you find something out that you then can't unsee. My favourite one about stuff like that is, Mike knows this one, this is creepy. There was an extra character in The Young Ones that's in lots of scenes but never says anything. Let me get you a picture up. The creepy long-haired fifth housemate. So let's get a picture up. All right, here's a picture for you. So if, for those of you who don't know, the young ones is a old British. There you go. And this isn't a conspiracy, this is a real thing. But yeah, in the young ones, in a load of random scenes, there's somebody with long hair that's just sitting in the background doing nothing, and you never notice them, but then you creepily realise they were in loads and loads of episodes. What, Dyatlov Pass, Chernobyl? Well, it depends if you believe in all that stuff, White Wolf, because, again, it wouldn't surprise me because of how small a land space we are for so much history crammed into it of people murdering each other. But, you know, you'd have to believe in all of it. With paranormal stuff, I've experienced stuff I can't explain, but you never know if it's your brain farting, do you? Or if something really did happen. Sponsored by Alex Jones, oh dear. I do know there was a thing, wasn't there, about nuclear propulsion, which isn't a conspiracy. It was something they seriously looked into with, like, little kind of cans of nuclear explosives coming out the back of rockets to propel them. Probably nerve gas, Akuma, just because of the fact that with a nuclear attack, if it was mutually assured destruction, you definitely all die. But with a nerve agent thing, you could definitely have something like, you know, that Japanese cult that did the sarin attack on the underground. I know it wasn't proper sarin, but, you know, I could definitely agree that there might be a big terrorist, like, nerve agent style attack using old, you know, shells they found somewhere or tried to concoct themselves. Whereas with nukes, I think the only time a nuke's going to go off now, if it's not on, like, a test range, is if, you know, there's mutually assured destruction at that point, then why worry about anything? Yeah, that's creepy, Nintendo. But the thing is, weird stuff in the woods I find a lot more believable. I don't know why, because I've seen weird stuff in the woods. In our local woods, it's not very big, but I found, like, weirdly some crow's wings on a tree. Like, you know, skeletal wings with the feathers still on them, but then none of the rest of the crow's body. Just on a tree. It was really weird. And I've also, and this is probably just done by people having a laugh, you know, when you kind of see weird Blair Witch kind of stick men, or just weird piles of stones. You know those things you get on, oh, there's been a donation I missed. Oh, no, I haven't. It's the one Nintendo Boy said about the staircases in the woods. But yeah, the one I find the most interesting is, like, yeah, like where you're just randomly in the woods and then you find, you know, like cairns on mountains or whatever they are, a bit like that, just randomly in the woods, or like a load of sticks. The weird thing is, hype, they were, like, you know, far enough up the tree. It's hard to say. I mean, it could be, I suppose, if they rotted and fallen apart a bit, that critters on the ground have eaten, like, what's fallen to the ground. But yeah, it was weird, but weirdly, that other guy, if you didn't see earlier on in the stream, we were actually talking about that. Because I've had a weird Man in Black encounter, but I don't know if it was actually a Man in Black encounter, but this was before I even knew about, like, the real Men in Black, and I'd only seen, like, the Will Smith film. But there was a thing where we were staying somewhere on holiday, and when I looked out the window, I kept feeling like I was being watched. And then you could see a man partially obscured by a sign, you know, like he was comedically trying to hide. And it was a really hot, sunny day, so, you know, everybody was wearing shorts and t-shirts kind of thing. And this guy was in, like, a full suit with a bowler hat on and all that sort of stuff. And it was just really weird. And it was like one of those things where I kept looking, going, is there somebody really there? Because it was far enough away that, you know, you needed binoculars or a zoom. So I thought, right, my dad's binoculars are in the other room. I'm going to go get them and then have a look. And then within, like, 20 seconds of leaving the room to get the binoculars and coming back, the person had gone, but they couldn't have left that fast. I've never really listened to much ZZ Top, George, or ZZ Top, as we'd call it in the UK. But yeah, it sounds wrong calling it ZZ Top. Yeah, ZZ Top. Inflated GP5 sound like some sort of weird cursed fetish thing, I'm not going to lie. Like inflated NBC suit and masks. Yeah, I mean, White Wolf on its own, that wouldn't be weird. That wasn't in the woods. It was on a coastal road. where the only ways off of the road would be like to walk down the path like several miles either way, or to get in a car and drive off. And it was just one that, there was somebody just standing randomly there doing nothing, which is pretty weird. And then it was one where when I went to get the binoculars and, look, the person had somehow vanished, and they couldn't, even if they were a marathon sprinter, they'd still be visible from the window at that point. I've just noticed it is Peppy the Frog, and that's very freaky. It looks like a big brain GP5. I know you can put GP5s on your knee, but his picture now I've seen it is very cursed. Well, as much as I'm not really into a lot of these conspiracy, Mr. Red-Eyed Jedi, my opinion on 5G is that it's not ionizing radiation to begin with. So when people, claim it has the effects of ionizing radiation, it doesn't, because ion chambers and Geiger counters don't pick it up. Whether or not I'd want to live next to a 5G mast is another thing entirely, because I don't like the idea of living next to any, high-strength electrical mast or anything, just because you think, if they've got that much energy in them, is it that safe to be near them? But I certainly don't think they're ionizing radiation. I don't think it's a doom thing like everybody's pointing out, but, especially I don't believe any of the stuff to do with 5G and Corona. Whether or not it could be correct that long-term down the line there might be some harm caused by it, we don't know of yet. That's a different thing, but, when people go like 5G causes Corona, or 5G does the same thing as radiation, no. Oh, yeah. You'd be right there, Dwarven Miner, because when you've got a 5G signal, you tend to get mobile internet. As I was saying earlier in the stream, Philip, I've had some weird encounters I can't explain, but I don't know if, of course, it was real ghosts, it was some sort of residual memory, or it was my brain just fucking up several times in a row in the same place. But I used to work somewhere that I and a lot of the other staff genuinely believed was haunted, because it was one of those buildings that, was built on old foundations that was, again, bulldozed and built over the same spot. But it was one of those places where you would randomly, smell something you shouldn't be able to smell down there, often a very strong incense or perfume kind of smell. You'd hear footsteps, a few yards away, even if you were the only person in the room, and then you'd go and look and there wouldn't be anyone there. It was all that sort of stuff. You never saw anything really conclusive. You'd occasionally see what you thought was a person in the corner of your eye walking, away, and if you went to look, there was nobody there, but... No, I've not heard of that, Dear Love Survival. Can you explain it a bit? Tender Boy says, creepiest thing that ever happened to me is actually pretty lame. I was in my small windowless bathroom, the AC wasn't on, the towel lifted off the rack and flew against the wall. You two have a nice evening, Connor. This has been a really nice stream, actually. George says, there's a hotel in Oklahoma City called the Skirvin Hotel that is supposedly haunted. Funnily enough, as opposing NBA team blame their loss on not being able to sleep because of the ghosts. Someone said, ever had an optical migraine? Thank you, Lena. He said, shit completely fucks your vision, hurts like a bitch. I remember once I was in class and got one. If I ever looked at people correctly, their heads would disappear. That's creepy. I've never had that many migraines. I've had them once or twice, and they're really, really excruciatingly painful, aren't they? But I've been lucky where I've not had many migraines. But I definitely think, certain sightings of ghosts could be down to, weird exposure to something, whether it be a chemical or something else, and then people hallucinate or just don't recall things properly. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream, everybody. Good point, Thomas Watson. Thank you. So they told you to wear a mask, Tenny Army Barbie, and then they called the police because you were wearing the mask. Doesn't make sense, does it? Now, here's an interesting thing. I know it's not really related to 5G, but this is just sort of interesting. Binaural beats, or however they're pronounced, the idea that you can have a beat kind of whoop, 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 whoop sort of noise, and that it can affect you mentally. Do you reckon there could be anything with certain radio transmissions on that, where it might give you make you feel weird, or ultrasound kind of thing? Oh, I didn't know you weren't on Discord already, Lena, but yeah, let me add you. You've been long enough on these streams that I don't think you're going to complain how I'm oppressing you or something. And you'll get a lawyer on me. Like that loser earlier. Right, paste. Done. Right. There we go. Oh yeah, Winchester Mystery House is interesting. I don't know how much of it was really to do with ghosts, but yeah, it's one of those houses, isn't it, where it's like nonsensical layout, where like stairs go to nowhere. Is this the buzzer one, George? Oh, you've deleted the film. I assume you're like retyping it, but is it the buzzer? You know, the one, because there's a lot of weird number stations, but they make sense why they exist if you understand like the spy thriller type things. I've not heard of that, dear love. It's not as crazy as some of the things, but he said the Black Pope is behind the White Pope, and he's in charge of the Jesuit order, or Jesuit order Illuminati. But no, I've not really heard that one. But there's so many with religion, isn't there? When it comes to like conspiracies and crazy stuff, or like not so crazy things, you know, of certain groups being funded by other groups or being like a front for other groups. But yeah, I know which one you mean, George. The buzzer, isn't it? The one that, isn't it the one that's actually near Chernobyl? Or am I thinking of the wrong thing? Well, I'm actually, it's the woodpecker that's near Chernobyl, isn't it? There was a weird thing. There's nothing behind me, Mr. Gamer, because I can see on the webcam, can't I, if something was behind me. But speaking of the Pope, did you see that creepy video the other week of where it looked like the Pope was disappearing, like he was a hologram, where he walked behind him and then vanished? I'd have to weigh them both next to each other, Iron Man. The Swiss rifle's heavier, but that's because it's bigger, because it's like one of the older, like, you know, like pre-World War I rifles. Yep, the woodpecker, Philip, if you don't know what it is, it's Duga 2, isn't it? The actual proper name for it. It was an over-the-radar, over-the-horizon radar, whatever it was called. Let me look up 18 hertz frequencies then. Right, oh, so infrasound it's called. Right, I'll look up that properly when the stream ends. Yeah, that video is freaky. I watched that and I was like, seriously, what the fuck? If the people haven't seen it, it's like the Pope walks backwards from a window after he was doing a thing on a balcony because of Corona. And it literally looks like he vanishes, you know, like he's flicked off almost like a hologram. Yeah, I'll be off though in a minute, Connor. I generally don't watch things like that on stream for two reasons. One, if I'm watching a video on stream, obviously my internet's going to shit out a bit on the stream because I'm trying to load a video while streaming. And the other thing is, of course, you never know what people are going to send you. George says, I caught my son back when it was relevant doing the Charlie Challenge. What's that? Let's see what Charlie Challenge is. Oh, right, good. You sent me the Adolf Hitler Lego City thing. I definitely want to look that up. Oh, there's your server invite, by the way. No, I don't know that real life autism sports, but there's some really interesting MK Ultra stuff, isn't there? Which actually isn't a conspiracy. Well, it's a conspiracy, but it was real kind of thing of, you know. Oh, nice, you got your Spaciani. It's a lovely mask, isn't it? All sorts of things, T-Ville. This is definitely a stream to watch back if you're interested in random conspiracies, but some of this has actually been really interesting. Because a lot of it's more interesting than a stream saying what's your favourite gas mask, because it's actually been people talking about weird, creepy stuff you can look up online. Nintendo Boy said, did you ever heard about Havana sickness? Dudes hearing high-pitched tinnitus and it caused brain damage, but only happened to American embassy workers. I've heard that bit with different embassies, but wasn't it like people supposedly having microwave waves shot at them or something? I definitely reckon people might use that, like, brown noise kind of stuff, or whatever they call it. Yeah, that's creepy, Boots. It was when the Soviets did a load of experiments with, wasn't it, how long you could keep something alive after essentially like death or like to do with like transplants. It's creepy stuff, but you know. Only because it got derailed a bit near the end, T-ville. And we had a loser on threatening us. So I definitely will, Tony, because if it goes as well as today, it's actually been really fun to talk about this stuff. Yeah, I agree, Harris. It's actually been. I thought this might have been an awful one when I started it, but it's actually been quite good because I was worried when it began with it would just be, you know, like racist conspiracy theories or something. You know what I mean? Without going into too much detail, but it's actually been quite cool, weird shit. VS has gone for the completely pants on head one. He says, my sources in the deep state, 616 different intelligence agencies, indicated that Bush Sr. was the true mastermind behind the interdimensional hologram of the Titanic that hit Building 7 in 9/11. Yeah, there's definitely weird frequencies that I think could probably cause distress. The interesting thing as well is like, oh, Chris from HR is literally saying this. So I'm going to read this out because it was what I was kind of going to say. Is he said I've had audible hallucinations while I've had sleep deprived. Sound like someone whispering my name, but it wasn't. My own internal dial freaks me out. Yeah, I've had audio hallucinations either when I've been really tired and can't sleep, or certain medications can do that. But yeah, that's interesting stuff. And that's creepy, Thomas, hearing pianos being played when there's nothing there doing it. Russian sleep experiments just a creepy paster, sadly. That's kind of cool, real life autism sports. You could go and say hello to Stonewall. Do you think he'll haunt people if they tear down his statues? Cannot remove my statues, sir. Yeah, Russian sleep experiments are creepy pasta, Connor. Because that's the problem I have with some of these is when people keep saying like some creepy pastas are good in their own right, but you know they're like made up. This when people keep saying no, it's real. It's like no, it's not. But yeah, there's also stuff, isn't there? If you're apparently in a room where you can't hear anything for long enough, you do start getting audio hallucinations as well. Like apparently there's some like test tank room things like that, and people can't stand to be in them too long because they start hearing really sort of creepy sounds. Mr. Red-Eyed Jedi say, Long, how do you feel shouting out people's names? As long as they don't have offensive names, it doesn't bother me. You should have been called Sheev. It's treason, then. That, sadly, Peppy, I think, had some reality, or at least they wanted to try it, because didn't Stalin want to supposedly breed super soldiers by getting apes to rape women? I don't know if it's actually true, but... Georgia Guidestones? No, I haven't. Let me Google it. But yeah, a while ago we did do a few creepy conspiracy streams, didn't we? And they were really good. Oh, that's interesting looking. I'll look that up properly. What I'm going to do, I have to make sure I don't remove them totally, is I've got a load of tabs open. So basically, once the stream ends, I can do it. But sometimes I do the annoying thing, close the stream, close the window, and then go, shit, I had a load of tabs open. Humansies, yeah. Chimpanzees with humans. There's lots of interesting old wayward stones or whatever they're called, isn't there, as well? Or like guide stones, like Stonehenge, and there's a lot in Scotland and like Wales and stuff, and bits of rural England. What's the actual name of those stones? I'm trying to think. But, you know, like where there's random kind of druid sort of stone structures that are still there. Standing stones, that's it. Standing stones. I've had that recommended to me before. It's actually a film, isn't it, Philip? But yeah. That's interesting, Sean. That's not a conspiracy, though, is it? It was like a propaganda thing, and also to do with like making sure there was enough vegetables being grown. But yeah, it was because they didn't want the Germans to find out we had like quite a lot of cool like night fighter type abilities. Sigil stones, way stones, yeah, standing stones. There's a few names for them, but yeah, or like the weird fairy ring type things. I don't find when it's just some mushrooms in a row, you know, I don't find that interesting because that could have just naturally happened. But when it's like, yeah, weird, just like big stone formations in the middle of nowhere, you're like, what? I mean, I know druids did it, but still. Yeah, I know, Jake. That's why. I know if you've been listening to enough of the stream, we've been saying that just because it's a conspiracy doesn't mean it's fake. But you know, I think people already said about the Georgia stones, didn't they? Yeah, that's the ones I've got open in another tab. Can you try putting a cross in that corner, Henry? But yeah, I'd be creeped out if animals kept. But maybe there's a mouse in the wall or something, you know, and the dog can smell it. I don't know. There's probably I'd always go for sensible explanations before there's a ghost materializing in the corner of your room, kind of things. Yeah, there's quite a few weird countries, isn't there, Briggs? I don't know if the one you're on about is real, but I do know that there is like some random, like weird little landlocked countries which are tiny, like you've never heard of them, and then you look them up, like, oh, this does exist. You know, there's just a random landlocked town that's technically its own country somewhere. There's lots of radioactive minerals in Cornwall as well. The big riot helmet, that's the Russian one. There's another video on it in 2 days' time. That's creepy. There's the other saying about that, Dear Love. It's not related to this really, but there's that creepy airport mural, isn't there, at one of the American airports, with like the guy with a gas mask on and a rifle. It's quite famous. That's creepy, Henry. Chris said they're classed as stateless people. I had to help one when I was in the DWP. That's interesting. Denver Airport. Thank you. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. T-Ville says, I like the bit on infrasound, sound below the threshold of human hearing, making people feel all sorts of weird. Yeah, we were on about that earlier, and it's very fascinating stuff, isn't it? Oh, it is. Right, I'll end the stream now, because I think people are meant to be clapping, aren't they? So, there we go. I'll do a bit of clapping on there. I don't want it to look condescending, but, you know. There you go, I have clapped. Right, anyway. I'll head off now. Thank you, everybody that donated. It's been a really interesting stream, this one. Don't forget to clap if people are doing it near you and you can want to open a window and do it or whatever. I think people on my road, they've pretty much given up on it now, unfortunately. But yeah, anyway, see you, everybody. I completely forgot I was meant to be off by now, and I've been PM'd a few times, so let me read those. So see you all. Have fun. Goodbye.